Alcatraz held some of the most dangerous criminals in American history: gangsters, kidnappers, murderers, and escape artists. But what did it take to earn a one-way trip here? Today we count down 7 inmates so dangerous no other prison could handle them. And the man at number 1 remained feared even behind bars. Let's get into it. Number 7. Mickey Cohen. Mickey Cohen ran organized crime in Los Angeles. He controlled gambling, extortion, and had rivals violently eliminated. But it wasn't violence that sent him to Alcatraz. It was tax evasion. Cohen was sent to Alcatraz in 1961 after his second tax conviction. Even inside, he carried himself like a boss. In 1963, another inmate attacked him with a lead pipe. The damage left him partially paralyzed for the rest of his life. Even Alcatraz couldn't protect him from himself. Number 6. Whitey Bulger. Whitey Bulger controlled South Boston's criminal underworld for decades. He was linked to at least 19 murders, and secretly worked as an FBI informant. He ratted on rivals while committing crimes himself. Bulger actually served time at Alcatraz in the 1950s before his most dangerous years. He went on to become far more dangerous after release. For 16 years, Bulger lived as a fugitive. Captured in 2011, age 81. Still dangerous. Still calculating. Number 5. Machine Gun Kelly. George Machine Gun Kelly was one of Prohibition's most notorious criminals: bootlegging, bank robbery, kidnapping. The kidnapping of oil tycoon Charles Urschel made him public enemy number 1. When agents finally caught him, he supposedly shouted, "Don't shoot G-men." Some historians say the story is exaggerated, but Kelly's sentence was very real. Life at Alcatraz. The man with the machine gun spent his days doing chores. He never escaped, never caused major trouble. He died in Alcatraz of a heart attack in 1954. Number 4. Alvin Karpis. Alvin Karpis held the title of public enemy number 1 longer than anyone else. He robbed banks, kidnapped wealthy targets, and evaded police for years. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover personally oversaw his capture. Some accounts say Hoover rushed in at the last second just for the credit. Convenient timing. Karpis arrived at Alcatraz in 1936. He would serve 26 years there, the longest of any Alcatraz inmate. During his sentence, he reportedly taught Charles Manson to play guitar. Yeah, that happened. Number 3. Robert Stroud. The Birdman of Alcatraz. The nickname sounds almost peaceful. The reality was far darker. Stroud killed a prison guard at Leavenworth and was sentenced to death. His mother pleaded personally with President Wilson. The death sentence became life in solitary confinement. Alone in his cell, Stroud found an injured sparrow and nursed it back to health. He became a self-taught expert in bird diseases and published research respected by ornithologists, a self-educated scientist, in solitary confinement. When transferred to Alcatraz in 1942, he was forced to leave all his birds behind. No birds were permitted at Alcatraz. He spent 42 years in solitary. Total, 42 years. Number 2. Frank Morris. Imagine escaping from the most secure prison in America. Not just the prison, a tiny island, freezing water, powerful currents, armed guards. Most people thought it was impossible, but in 1962, one prisoner decided to try anyway. His name was Frank Morris. Morris had spent much of his life in and out of prisons and had escaped from several of them. That was exactly the problem. No matter where they sent him, Morris found a way out. Eventually, only one place was left that could hold him, designed for inmates too dangerous or difficult to control anywhere else. But Morris had other plans. Over months, he secretly worked with John and Clarence Anglin. Using stolen spoons and homemade tools, they chipped away at the walls. They built fake heads from soap, paper, and real human hair to avoid detection. Then, on the night of June 11th, 1962, they moved. Guards looked in. The fake heads slept peacefully. By the time anyone realized, the 3 men were gone. What happened next remains one of the greatest mysteries in American history. The FBI concluded the men drowned crossing the bay. But no bodies were ever found. Over 60 years. Sightings, photographs, and mysterious letters have fueled the mystery. Did they drown, or did they survive? More than 60 years later, nobody knows for sure. If Morris really escaped, he accomplished the impossible. But even his legendary breakout wasn't enough for the top spot, because our number one wasn't famous for escaping prison. He was famous for controlling an entire criminal empire. Number 1. Al Capone, the most famous criminal in American history. During Prohibition, Capone ran Chicago's criminal underworld with iron control. Bootlegging, gambling, bribery, murder. The public treated him like a celebrity. Half of Chicago's government was on his payroll. In 1929, his men massacred 7 rivals on Valentine's Day. For years, it seemed nothing could touch him. Then the government found a different weapon: tax evasion charges. Guilty. 11 years. The most powerful gangster in America, brought down by paperwork. Capone arrived at Alcatraz in 1934. From ruling Chicago, to a 6-by-9-foot cell. Prison officials made sure Capone held no power inside. He was just inmate number 85. Capone joined the prison band and played the banjo. But syphilis ravaged his mind and body during his sentence. Released in 1939, he was a shell of his former self. He spent his final years in a Florida mansion, mentally deteriorating. Al Capone died in 1947. The man who couldn't be touched by bullets or judges was broken by a tiny island. 7 prisoners, 7 stories, gangsters, kidnappers, escape artists, and crime lords. Alcatraz was built to stop men like these. And for most of them, it worked. But one question still floats unanswered in that cold, dark bay. Did Frank Morris make it? Nobody knows. But here's what we do know. Every man on this list was considered uncontrollable. They ruled streets, cities, entire underworlds, and every single one of them ended up here. No empire, no influence, no power. Just a number on a cell door. The most feared men in America, reduced to the same uniform. What does it say about power when a rock in the bay cancels it all? These weren't ordinary criminals. Each one was exceptional at something. Stroud survived 42 years alone. Karpis outlasted almost every other prisoner here. And Morris might have beaten the whole system. Might have. Today, Alcatraz is a museum. Over 1 million people visit every year. They peer into the same cells that held these men. The holes Morris chipped are sealed now. But the question he gouged into this place never closed. Gone. So what was Alcatraz's real weapon against a mind like Morris's? San Francisco sits just over a mile away. Close enough to see, cold enough to kill. That was always Alcatraz's real weapon. Not just the walls, the water itself. 4 layers of impossible. You could see freedom from your window. You just couldn't get there. Unless you were Frank Morris. Maybe. 7 prisoners. 7 reasons Alcatraz had to exist. Alcatraz closed in 1963. Too expensive to maintain. Too isolated to supply. But the legend never left with them. Some places become bigger than their purpose. Alcatraz became one of them. A tiny island. An enormous story. If you made it this far, which prisoner surprised you most? Drop it in the comments below. And if you didn't know half these stories, now you do. Nobody escapes history, but history escapes nobody either. These walls held legends. Power doesn't age well. Every man on this list believed they were untouchable. Every single one was wrong. That's what Alcatraz proved. No empire lasts inside a 6-by-9 cell, 1 island, 29 years of operation. 1,576 inmates passed through. Only one may have ever truly left on his own terms. Maybe. Thanks for watching. Stay curious. The stories are always out there. You just have to go looking. Some places never let you go. Even after the lights go out. 7 different men, 7 identical cages. One of those cages couldn't hold its man, or couldn't. Here is what the water tells you if you listen long enough. Nothing. So what does silence mean? Proof of death, or proof of escape? The greatest prisons leave the greatest questions. Not just about who was inside, but about who got out. Maybe.